Welcome to the latest of my deep dive videos. Today I'm going to explore the Taurus super new moon, which occurs across the 27th or the 28th of April, providing a magnificent backdrop for the next month. Taurus new moons are a wonderful opportunity for us to think about our values, our self-worth, the things we really enjoy. Can be good food, good wine, perhaps even more sensual pleasures too. The good things in life can be the things that we splash out on, but also it can be the things that we take great pleasure from recycling or growing some food in our back garden and making a home-cooked meal. But we also need to be mindful of the unique characteristics of this year's new moon, because it does get caught up in a mighty battle between the two rulers of the sign of Scorpio, traditionally Mars and modern Pluto. I'm going to go through all of this for you. I'm going to share the exact degree of the new moon, but also the decan it occupies, but also it's very close to an important fixed star. What's the implications of that? I'll share with you the solar event chart, which we can all collectively relate to, but also the Placidus event chart based on the prime meridian, and that gives us some intriguing understandings of the exact house the new moon occurs in, but also the position and houses of Mars and Pluto too. I'll also share with you the exact timings and locations in all the big cities of the world. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. Thank you so much for joining me. If you've yet to subscribe to this channel, please help it thrive. Now, I'd just like to tell you about the new website. It is coming along at pace. We now have got 3 daily love and monthly love horoscopes. We've always had the 3 daily, weekly, monthly Vedic, Indian horoscopes, but perhaps they're a little clearer to see in the new layout. You can also sign up for your free daily horoscope to be fired to your device each morning. You can also get your free natal moon horoscope to your device each day too. That's totally unique to you based on your personal birth data. You can also get your free natal chart. They're stunning. If I say so myself, the best there is. I'm a consultant astrologer. If you'd like to see how other people have found working with me, please check out my testimonials. I do have a new service. You can have a video reading, but you don't need to be there with me. I'll send you all the wheels, and that's proven to be tremendously popular. Please see below. And I have my long-standing offer, because do you know, the most important document any of us will ever read is the first time we grapple with that blueprint that we were given when we were born, the Life Roadmap Report, because that helps us to understand the patterns. Once we've nailed that, it gets much easier to understand how we can work with the energy that's going on now. And in my special package of 30% off, you'll get your 12 months transits too. Please see below for more. So this Taurus super new moon occurs across the 27th or the 28th of April. On the screen now is the exact timings and locations. Now, this Taurus supermoon is at 7 degrees and 46 minutes. So it's in the first decan of a sign which is ruled by Venus. And therefore the first decan is also ruled by Venus. So if we think about the more sultry side of Venus in the earth sign of Taurus, it can be where we want to get in touch with the deeper parts of our desire. So that's really exciting. It's also in a conjunction with the fixed star Shiddur. And Shiddur is very much about dealing with the public. It can be about finance, and it can be a little bit too focused on finance. And that can be the side of Taurus that perhaps we need to be mindful of. So in the tarot, we have the 4 of coins, someone who may be very much aware of conserving their resources, but therefore that makes them a little resistant to the exchange of energy that comes from being generous or enjoying the good things in life. But this particular event I'm showing on the screen now with the solar event chart is incredibly complex. If we think the sign of Taurus, and certainly the ruler Venus, is very much about stability. It can be a little resistant to change. It likes continuity because it's a fixed sign, but because it's the steady eddy, it's binding together. So with the ram, as we have the first zodiac sign, we have that burst of fiery energy and enthusiasm. So Taurus brings the stabilization or the conversion of those ideas into something more lasting. And that's something to really behold. But of course, Uranus, the planet of change, disruption, and essentially of rebellion, has been working its way through the sign of Taurus, first of all since May 2018 for 5 months, but full-time since March 2019. And what we've seen since then is a lot of shifts in terms of the cost of living, a lot of uncertainties, a lot of instabilities. And the reason for that is that Uranus just does not like being in the sign of Taurus, because there it's in its full. So it's not a great place for it to be. So we've all been trying to find out, just how we find that sense of stability. It's been rocked. There's been so much going on, particularly in world affairs. So how will this particular event feed in to what we've been experiencing? Well, to be honest, I think there could be more challenges, because you can see that the position of the sun and the moon, which essentially are unifying. So the sun lights up the day, the moon the night, but of course not on a new moon. It's a dark moon essentially for most of us, but they're unified. So the raw power of the sun is in some ways balanced by the more empathetic, nurturing energies of the moon. But what we can say is the moon is exalted in the sign of Taurus. So after a new moon in Cancer, which obviously is where the moon shines out the most potently, this could usually be the second most favourable of all the new moons. But this one does have some potential challenges, because up there in House 11 we have Pluto. Now Pluto hasn't yet started its retrograde. It's going to inch forwards a tiny bit more before it does so, but you can see that it is in an opposition with Mars. Now that started to manifest itself in the sign of Leo, in an opposition with Pluto towards the end of last year, before it returned to the sign of Cancer on the 6th of January. So the battle between the two rulers of Scorpio is in itself an epic one. Mars in Leo is, to be honest, much more about demonstrating our desire to enjoy ourselves. It's about what we want as individuals. It's much more about me rather than us. But Pluto is in the sign of the collective, Aquarius. But Pluto itself, of course, is not necessarily an easy planet. It's pushing us to transform, to grow. And what's happened this week in particular is we've had some very powerful standoffs where people have just not wanted to be silenced. They wanted to find their voices, particularly around anything to do with enjoyment, creativity, the arts, music, performance. And Mars in Leo is delicious. It's much more self-confident, but it is much more in touch with ego, whereas Mars in Cancer, as it was for that long journey, in 2 stages, was much more about reaction, the mood. Mars in Leo is much more about fire and desire, but also that opposition be about dominance, and it can be about control. So if you have experienced someone over the last week or so, particularly as the week before, the week that's just gone, the Sun in its latter moments in the sign of Aries and Mars in its latter moments in the sign of Cancer were building towards the exact square that they reached on Monday the 21st of April. So that energy is still playing out, and even on that event the Sun newly arrived in Taurus with T-square in it. So that T-square is right at the heart of this event. Now, my chart on the screen is based on Greenwich. So it's based on the prime meridian, but it's also based on universal time, not British summer time. But the big takeout is the position of the ruler of the sign of Taurus, Venus, because that's just completed the third of 3 exact conjunctions with Saturn, the 19th of January, the 7th of April, and once again this week on the 25th of April. But if Venus is about money as well as relating, and can also be about what we value, we've also seen that Saturn can be about coldness, and it can be about domination, and it can be about where issues can show up where there are weaknesses, either in the financial system or perhaps in terms of a relationship where someone may have resented the restrictions or the control that they feel that someone has been trying to impose on them. So all this creates a tremendous tinder box ready to explode. So over the next 4 weeks, as much as a Taurus new moon can be a time when we get productive about turning those Aries ideas into something more tangible, because Earth is about tangible outcomes, it's not necessarily going to be that easy this time, because we've got to juggle, because they're all fixed signs, they all want to win, and the Sun of course is the primary presence in our solar system. So if we put the moon in the equation too, moon square Mars, it can be very unstable. Moon square Pluto can also be extremely up and down when it comes to emotions. So if there's something you're very attached to, whether it's a person, an idea, a project, a particular thing you enjoy, and someone sees it differently, the tension can be palpable that goes on. So I just really wanted to explore that energy of Venus. Now, ironically, Venus does forge, along with Saturn and the North Node, a glorious link to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. So in a way, what we're being asked to contemplate is new approaches, letting go of things that no longer serve our greater good, becoming detached from anything which holds us back. So I feel the sign of Aquarius, where Pluto is, could be about friendships. So where people have different values to us, they can show up. Or it could be we have someone in our friendship circle who tends to always have to dominate. That could be the Mars energy. Or there could be someone with the more Taurus instincts, doesn't really want to change and resists all promptings to just evolve. So there's lots of potential from this situation for inflexibility. But ironically, Uranus, which has been such a troublemaker in recent years, can possibly give us a potential outcome, because Saturn's conjunction with Venus won't happen again in the sign of Pisces for around about another 27.5, 28 years. And if we think that the sign of Pisces is of culmination and Saturn's getting to the end of the journey through the entire zodiac, what we're seeing is the outcome, not just from the last 2 years of Saturn being in Pisces, but of the last 28 years of our collective attitudes and how we've lived our lives, because with the North Node there, that's the point of destiny. So this is a hugely powerful, symbolic new moon. It's not necessarily a bunch of laughs about just being a bit thriftier, maybe squeezing a bit more from our resources, obviously something we can do on a Taurus new moon. It's about where we need to do the inner work, where we may be a little bit too attached to our pride, Mars, where we're resistant to evolution, Pluto, where we're sticking with what we know because we're frightened that something's changing. Well, you know what? It is changing. It's changing because of automation, robotics, of AI. So what does that fixed star, or Shidir, say? Well, it is asking us not to be too attached in a way, to create new philosophies and new values. And this is where the Plutonian energy in Aquarius can be so good. And that may mean letting go of some things that used to be incredibly important for us. But we're also going to see some other people want to use the power of Pluto opposite Mars to have some kind of control over resources in the way which suits their personal agenda. Because Pluto and Mars in an opposition can be dark art central. We're talking about coercion. We're talking about having some kind of leverage. We're using force. We're using fear. We're trying to come out on top, and greed could be part of the equation, unfortunately. But if we see the more spiritual dimension of Taurus, I think it can be where we just lead a simpler life and we enjoy the things that are really, really important. It's not to say we shouldn't be mindful of our financial situation, but we try to engineer a connection with one another that works for more of us simultaneously, not just for some of us. And those some of us generally are the people with the most money and also the most control. So those are the big challenges, the big stories of this particular event. I'm going to now share with you the specific eclipse chart based on Placidus. And guess what? The ascendant is in Scorpio, the sign which is very much to do with shared finance. And that can be investments, it can be to do with resources. Shares can be savings, pensions, property. And we've seen yet another pivot in terms of policy, because if you try to coerce and push too much, you will create resistance rather than working more collaboratively, which would be Pluto in Aquarius at its best. But in this particular chart, you can see the moon and the sun are in house 6. Very practical, so it's asking us to be a bit thriftier, to be more mindful of the things we can do to make our lives run a bit leaner, perhaps much more aware of what we're putting into our bodies, because the 6th house is about purity, and it is also about trying to achieve some small but important refinements which improve our sense of stability and security. But what about Mars and Pluto? Well, they're going across the 9th and 3rd house axis respectively, and that's about points of view. But it's also about, in some ways, with Mars in the 9th house, whoever shouts the loudest and is the most prideful, Mars in Leo in its more negative connotation, will try to in some ways have the control over the people who are more conscientious and caring, and that can be people like health workers, people who provide support services, people who keep the fabric of society ticking over. So whilst the ideological battles are going on, Mars and Pluto, we need to be mindful of how we can deal with all of that and keep ourselves feeling safe and sound. But in this chart, Venus is in house 4, so that's property, can be to do with our homes, our family life. And if we're feeling that this pace of change or all the turmoil that's going on is not great, it's making us feel insecure, that is totally understandable. So the chart, to be honest, isn't easy in that regard. But having said that, Uranus then pitches into the 7th house, pushing us to perhaps be more outspoken in terms of asserting our boundaries, but also being aware of the relationships that don't work for us in terms of our values and separating ourselves from them. And that may be at some cost, but if it's the right thing to do for our own stability, and let's again celebrate what Taurus is about: stability, continuity, and appreciation of things that are slower, but that sometimes makes us more aware of the value of some of the legacy approaches that we've had in life, like being conscious of the use of resources, not being too keen to just plough our way through more and more consumer items which have a cost, not just to our pockets, but to the planet. So we have an opportunity to review all of this. Please stay with me as I tell you how it's exactly going to play out for your zodiac sign over the next 4 weeks. So Aries, for you, over the next 4 weeks, you could find yourself wanting to do something more daring, perhaps more speculative. And part of your nature is that you are not necessarily a risk taker, although that may be the stereotype for your sign, but you're certainly someone who's very open to always evolving. And that's what I truly admire about Aries people, because nothing would ever happen without the spark that your energy provides. So if there is something that has been a little blocked, particularly with Mars, your ruler, going through the sign of Cancer from the 6th of January in retrograde through to the 24th of February, I feel that Mars switching back into your 5th house may have reignited your passion for that particular strand. But what if it isn't rattling along quite at the pace you would like? Or if there are some old issues which are in some ways inhibiting things, with Venus, the ruler, trapped in your 12th house alongside the cold and rather scrutinizing energies of Saturn, that could make you very risk averse in itself. So what do you do? Well, I feel the main thing is to have a clear strategy, because Pluto is all about your long-term plan. And whether it is around your love life, whether it is around an interest, whether it is around your hope for a new job, really rehearse exactly what you want to achieve, but also be clear about what the value would be of that achievement. So we may set ourselves a particular target or goal, but we need to be clear of exactly why. And I feel that if your motivations are stripped down and you're really conscious of what's really important to you, then you can put your energy into the primary part of the plan, the strand. So don't be distracted, but also don't expect it to necessarily move along at the speed of light. And if you are thinking about perhaps a new form of marshalling your resources, obviously digital currencies are very much to the fore. We've heard a lot about the value of gold shooting up, because that's where people retreat when things are unstable. All these kind of things may be the type of options you're considering with your money. But the 2nd house can also be your approach to your diet. So if you're someone who's wanting to get a little leaner for the beach, if you're in the northern hemisphere, you could use this particular new moon to just set yourself a plan where you can be that much more disciplined about what you're eating and drinking, but especially anything which is remotely gooey and yummy, because those are the things that the sign of Taurus absolutely totally appreciates. So if you want to keep on that plan, you're going to need to show some discipline. But I feel that Venus being in that cold embrace with Saturn really asks you to scrutinize all the different angles of whatever you're contemplating at the moment, and not dive in too quickly, and just move forwards in progressive, small but important steps towards what you have identified is truly important to you. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. Taurus, your annual new moon is an opportunity to celebrate your unique individuality. For many of us, I feel that that can be a chance to review our personal appearance. Now, appearance is such a massive part of modern life, but if there are some changes you've been contemplating, a new hairstyle, buying some gear for the summer if you're in the north, or some warmer stuff if you're down south, all of those things could be things that you're contemplating. but the first house can also be about new beginnings. What is it that you'd like to bring into your life where you could be that much more dynamic, because your love of stability and continuity could at times, even though Uranus has probably seriously pushed and provoked you to be more experimental in recent years, there could be part of you that can be maybe quite connected to what you feel most cozy and familiar with, which, you know, every one of us has got certain parts of our life like that. But if there are some things that you'd like to be a little more daring around, this new moon could embolden you, yes? Well, particularly around your work, because of Pluto being in your 10th house. But with Mars in the 4th house, your emotions could be a little tender, particularly because Mars continues to square with the Sun in your sign. And if you have been experiencing some bumps over the last week or so and haven't felt that life's been particularly easy, or you have experienced someone who's been very, very hard as you see it to relate to, that would be understandable. And of course, with your ruler Venus so close to Saturn, it may be around friendships and your social situation that you may want to just step back a little bit and focus on what's uniquely important to you. Because sometimes if we do and are single-minded, we can be accused of being a little self-absorbed. But you know, it is important, if you really feel passionate about something that's come up for you, that you do stick with your plan. And that may mean that there are other voices, other influences. People may see things differently to you. But if you wanted to start your own business, you wanted to launch into a new hobby, you wanted to get much more physically fitter, the first house can be about being active. This is your prime chance to go for it over the next 4 weeks. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart. Sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. Gemini, this 12th house new moon for you is a wonderful opportunity to embrace the concepts of healing, of nurture, of reflection, having some quieter moments to perhaps recharge and rejuvenate. Will this particular event allow you to do that? No. And the reason for this is Mars. Mars is now back in your 3rd house, an electric arena, especially in the proud Leo, which is going to give you a desire to express your ideas with passion, vigour and enthusiasm. But on the other side of the heavens is Pluto in the complex for Pluto 9th house. Pluto can be the big revealer, but it's also about our change in reality. The 9th house can be philosophies, can be knowledge. So some knowledge could come your way over the next month that you're not necessarily expecting, because 12th houses in traditional astrology can be about secret enemies. So the secret enemies are the people that we don't actually know have necessarily got an agenda against us. The people we know we're up against, that's through the 7th house. The 12th house is therefore deeply psychological. It can be to do with secrets. It can also be to do with things that you don't want to come out, that could somehow or another make their way into the public domain. And speaking of the public domain, with Venus and Saturn and the North Node all together and in a very positive link with Uranus in your 12th house already, maybe around your work or your worldly profile, how people perceive you, that could be quite a tender area over the next 4 weeks. But especially if you are someone who wants to be very dynamic, you want to be heard, but it's possible that people may make observations about you that you're not expecting, and that is something you do need to be conscious of. So Mars in Leo almost compels you to say it as it is, but don't be surprised if you get incoming in your direction, because people have ways of looking at your approach, your ideas, your philosophies, the position of Pluto, but feeding that information back to you in a surprise way, and that could have some ramifications for you. So when it comes to anything confidential or anything that you would rather not come into the public domain, I think it's really important that you're careful with your personal security online, but also I think it's important to understand that the Sun is asking you to retreat. Mars and Pluto are not, and finding the balance is awkward. And because Saturn is applying to Venus in your 10th house, it may be that you come into conflict with someone that you work with, someone in the public sphere, maybe a governmental department, and that could provide some frustration. But important to understand that you could feel a little more tender at this time. But if you are up for enjoying some a retreat or some massage, or perhaps thinking more carefully about some of the shadow sides of your nature, you can definitely convert this new moon into an enriching opportunity. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. So Cancer, for you, this new moon is going to bring into the open what you're really connected to in terms of your higher values. The clash for you could be if there is something you want to change from, where you're locked in or feel trapped in some way by the financial situation. So it could be that you have a really well-paid job, but absolutely no investment in it. Or it may be that you work with people that you find unengaging, or it may be a project that doesn't really fit your principles. But you can transform your situation by really identifying where you want to direct your energy and thrust, which comes from the combination of the new moon, and actually having the trust in the process that you will be supported, you will get to where you want to be, that the planets and also the universe will provide for you. But because Venus, the ruler of Taurus, is trapped in that very tense alliance with Saturn, it may be from a contractual viewpoint or in terms of something that you feel a bit locked into, you will have to speak up and assert what you need, and that may mean confronting something that's awkward or challenging, or perhaps it may be around a friendship that you're not enjoying anymore, or you may feel that someone's rather using you. And I feel that Saturn's asking you to be brave and to be bold about standing in your power and also asserting your boundaries. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. The Taurus new moon each year is an opportunity for you to raise your profile, to achieve greater success, to set your goals and ambitions, but also to achieve greater recognition for the unique talents you possess. But because Uranus, the planet of change, but also of innovation, is forging such a great link to the ruler of the sign of Taurus, don't be fearful of marching to the sound of your own drum. If you're approaching something in a different and more dynamic way, having Mars in your sign is going to embolden you. But if you are someone who is perhaps someone more comfortable working in an environment which is more predefined, this is not the time to be too demanding of extra recognition, because you could come up against some resistance, especially when it comes to getting some kind of pay increase. However, if you are more of a free spirit, more of a natural bohemian, your desire and drive to forage forwards at the present time, and if you have business acumen, all of that energy can see you showcasing that talent in a really powerful and confident way. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. Virgo, the Taurus new moon in your sister Earth sign, is a wonderful opportunity each year to be more spontaneous, to shake things up, to look at the big picture, to go on some kind of expedition or journey which gives you some fresh connections to the world. Because your great gift is your dedication, how you're very much invested in the routines of life, and that metronomic and very applied energy takes an awful lot of discipline. So why not occasionally have a complete contrast? It's just that the planetary influences around this year's particular new moon suggest it could be some parts of your inner world that may inhibit you from trying something fresh. It may be a relationship where someone in some ways is blocking your potential to really grow. It may be in terms of a job where the politics of that situation are proving rather draining. But if there is something that you'd like to check out that's fresh, different and inspirational, then really seriously consider it over these next 4 weeks. Because even if you have to break down something in order to rebuild something, Pluto in your 6th house of routines, what can come from that can be a release of something that you may be tethered to that's just choking off a sense of fire, a sense of possibility that really can be so wonderful for you. So you may have to push yourself a little bit outside your comfort zone on this year's particular Taurus new moon, but the rewards can be truly handsome. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. So Libra, Taurus shares the same rulership of the guide planet of Venus as you. So we need to be mindful of Venus on this event, and it is trapped in that very tight conjunction with Saturn in the part of your scope that's very much to do with obligations, practicalities. But the 8th house, where the new moon is about the things that can really transform where we're most invested. So if you've been showing a lot of patience and application around your work, being very self-sacrificing, what you can gain from this new moon is an improvement in your long-term financial situation. But for it to really chime with Mars and Pluto in quite the epic battle, it really needs to feel right in terms of the people you're connecting to, because Mars in the 11th house is where you're going to network, and Pluto in the 5th house is asking you to showcase your unique skills. If you really feel heard, seen and appreciated, that can glow up any deep investment. So that could be in a business context, around a job or around a relationship. But if you don't feel very seen, heard, appreciated or recognized, the 8th house can also be a time of endings. Now, I don't want to make this a fearful thing for you. The endings could be the way it's been. The 8th house can be quite possessive. It can be a little bit controlling. It can be where people use leverage. It may be a friend who's just been taking you too much for granted, and you're going to want to break free or set some new conditions which they must conform to in order to reignite the connection. So it doesn't have to be romantic. But I do feel that at this time, after a lot of giving in recent years, if you are putting in at the moment, it needs to be really meaningful. And if it isn't, if you do feel controlled or trapped or leveraged in some ways, that's going to evoke within you a much more self-preservative type of response. And that, particularly through Mars, could see you wanting to connect to new people, new situations, and where you can feel more appreciated. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. Scorpio, the Taurus new moon every single year is a great opportunity to celebrate the best things about your connections to others. And that does mean for all of us appreciating what we have in common, because it's easy to focus on what's not quite right. But if there is someone you're really chiming with at this time, whether it's a friend, whether it's a colleague, whether it is in a more romantic context, the fact that Venus, the ruler of Taurus, is in a very close link with Saturn suggests if it feels right, this could be something that goes from strength to strength. But because Mars is right at the top of your chart, your ruler, if you're not feeling very appreciated in any situation, someone could be surprised by just how assertively you let them know that it's not working in the way you want, that it's not acceptable. And that much more confident and self-assured energy of Mars at the top of your chart could draw up the vibe of your other ruler of Pluto, which is much more to do with your deep feelings, and see you ventilate your boundaries, because the 7th house is about where we connect to people. It can be where we're combative. It's not just about trying to find harmony. It can be where we say, no, that's not acceptable. So it's an interesting new moon, this one, with your two rulers competing, but it's one that can be very dynamic. So if you're wanting to connect to someone and it feels right, there's a very good situation here for you. If you're not feeling satisfied, the chance to push back and let people know what's not acceptable is also there too. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. Sagittarius, ever since Uranus moved into your 6th house for the first time, for 5 months in 2018, from the middle of May, then from March 2019, the practicals elements of your life have probably felt quite unsettled, perhaps very unstructured at times. In some ways that may suit you because you are such a free-spirited sign, and your mutability means that flexing is part of your nature. But if you're wanting to bring sense to something, you're wanting to make it a little bit more ordered, you're wanting to be a bit more virtuous, this is the new moon for you. What's not to like? Well, if you're needing to collaborate with someone else, because the relator Venus is so close to Saturn in your 4th house, if you're not getting much cooperation and collaboration, or even sacrifice from somebody else, that could be something that irks you. And with Mars and Pluto in that direct opposition across your 9th and 3rd houses, that part of your nature that will always try to create freedom and space from something that doesn't work for you could be strongly evoked. So for example, if you're in a job that's dull, or it is a job that falls too much to you, or things have become rather repetitive at home, if the domestic chores are not fairly shared, that side of your nature, which can be quite rebellious, but also needs to just have physical space, could come out strongly over the next 4 weeks. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. Capricorn, you have a reputation of running a little more on the careful and cautious side, but this is a new moon which is encouraging you to embrace fun, joy, spontaneity, particularly socially. If you get together with your friends over the next few weeks, the chances are you can have a lively time. Or can you? Because your ruler Saturn is escorting Venus in the sign of Pisces, which is very much to do with conversation. It's escorting her through to the end of the month in the sign of Pisces for the 3rd time. And maybe this year in general, you have felt a little bit more inhibited than is usually the case. But because Mars and Pluto are in such a powerful opposition, there's another side of your nature at the moment that could surprise you. You may feel more impulsive. You may be drawn to a particular item that may be more expensive and you could be tempted by it. Or there could be someone who's catching your imagination romantically, making your pulse race. And that part of you that's usually a little bit more steady Eddie could be confronted by another part of you that just wants to go for it and go for it in the here and now. So an interesting time for you on this particular new moon. If you are in a romantic relationship, however, where you don't really chime in terms of intimacy or shared finances or just the conversation between you, you just have some kind of stilted energy, it may be a time when you need to seriously understand whether this is a relationship that can go forwards. And one of the ways to do that is have that conversation, even if the conversation does get seriously honest, but at least it will get you and them to the point of an absolute truth between you. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart, sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. Aquarius, your Taurus new moon suggests if there have been some delays in making some changes to where you live, either moving itself, redecorating, upgrading, modifying, if you want more space to work from home, decluttering, getting together with the family for some kind of reunion, all of those things very positive. Also, the 4th house energy is a great chance, especially as the moon is blessed in the sign of Taurus, it's exalted there, to tune into how you feel. Because being an air sign, sometimes it's easy to be very logical and perhaps more detached about our emotions. So the new moon in Taurus asks us to tune in more to that more sensory feeling side of our nature. It's about nurture, but it's also about your environment. And that's the critical thing, because whatever your situation, if it doesn't feel right, the fact that Mars is very strident around relationships, Pluto's pushing you to transform your individual purpose, and your traditional ruler Saturn is really asking you to be much shrewder and cannier around your resources, but also stand firm on your values. Well, this could create some tensions, to be honest. If there's something that needs to shift that you're resisting, or you're trying to change something that someone close to you is resisting, because the desire to make something happen is going to be so super powerfully strong. But if you just go with it, if you relax into, does this feel right? Be guided by that principle. Be okay with vulnerability. Be okay with tuning into your past memories. If there are some things that are still outstanding, a great time to release them, because with this highly charged energy in Mars and Pluto, there's a lot you can move forwards from very dynamically if you're in touch with your inner world. Please join me at my new website at www.patrickarundell.com. You can download my brilliant natal birth chart. Sign up for your free daily written horoscope, your free daily moon natal horoscope, totally unique to you. Or you can enjoy my free tarot. It's an absolutely exceptional solution. I've also now got your daily, weekly and monthly love horoscopes back. Please see below for more. Pisces, ordinarily the Taurus new moon each year can see a pickup in the pace of life. Bright, effervescent interactions, sparkling exchanges, those text messages and emails that can make us laugh. We share a funny meme, that kind of stuff. But this year's is much more complex. Because of the relationship between Saturn in your sign and Venus, they're very tight together. They came into an exact conjunction for the third time in Pisces this year on the 25th, but just know they're not going to come back together again for 28 years in your sign, and that may have been creating a certain inhibition, perhaps even a sense of isolation. Perhaps there's something you do want to talk about to other people, but don't feel the flow is quite there. But I don't just feel it's Saturn, and I don't just feel it's Venus. Saturn is applying to the North Node as well. What I feel it is Pluto in your 12th house. And because that's in such a very powerful opposition to Mars in your 6th house, the 6th house is about obligations, it's about routine, can be about physical stamina, can be where we work hard, but the 6th third house square from Mars back to the Sun and the Moon is an awkward one. It can create tension, and because Pluto's in a more psychological area, the chances are the communications you have can actually leave you feeling unsettled if you're connecting to the wrong people. So for example, when it comes to news, if it is a bad news day, it may not be a bad thing to just set a boundary and have some time out. Because if you in some way separate yourself from that constant barrage of information, it can just help you to ease your senses. But also, I'd just be conscious of the conversations you have with people on those everyday situations, because the third house is about those. It is about our connections locally with neighbours and so on. Because there could be a little bit of gossip. There could be someone who's up for a little bit of mischief. So the communications you have can be very positive, but they need to be very meaningful communications. And it really is a case of not the quantity, but the quality. So slow things down, think about what you want to say it to the people who really matter, and you can turn this new moon into an utter success. Thank you so much for joining me for this new moon, supermoon special. Please do check out my new website at www.patrickarundell.com and all those amazing goodies that you can enjoy.